Hello and welcome back to the Fencing Referee YouTube channel. My name is Lisa Campi-Sapri. I can be found on thefencingref.com, the Fencing Referee on Facebook, and of course don't forget to subscribe right here to the Fencing Referee YouTube channel. Today we are continuing a bit at a snail's pace with the penalty chart. This penalty chart is going to be the foundation for all of your refereeing and for all of your application of the rules. Remember, it's just a summary. And remember that within the four groups, you've got two that are typically for the bout, which are the first group, the yellow to red. The red, things like pairing with the back arm. Then we get to the serious ones that are more behavioral. The third group, I call those yellow to black, and those can apply to a fencer or a spectator. And then the black are the super serious ones. We are continuing with, I'm going to give you a hint as to what we're continuing with, the hair not conforming. If I were a foil girl and this was my lame, my hair would be on my target, even if it's on my back. Now, if I'm fencing somebody who can't hit my back, should I still have it off the target? Yes, because the rules say it's supposed to be off of the target. Your hair needs to be not impeding the path of the point or creating a safety hazard. In foil and in saber, it's covering the lame. Get it off the lame. It doesn't matter if they can't hit you back there. It matters that it's on the valid surface. So I'm sorry, foil ladies. Well, actually, any foil lady that has ever been fencing has done the most beautiful feint deceive ever in their life, and they hit some hair that's on the target because it's on the front of the target, knows the level of frustration that is, probably keeps their hair off the target. If you've never had that experience, that life experience, maybe that wouldn't matter to you. I remember as a coach, I was watching a girl in saber, and she had this thick ponytail, and it was on her back shoulder, and her opponent went parry riposte and hit the ponytail. No light. I flipped out, and it wasn't even against my athlete because her hair was on the target. Her hair needed to not be on the target. You, as the referee, are creating an even playing field for both athletes. And when hair is on the target, that playing field is not even. And I'm not saying that if both have the same amount of hair on it, that it's okay. No. Hair off the target. In épée, it needs to not be covering the name because the name needs to be seen. We have this quirky thing in the States where you can have the name on the back leg. And okay, you can have it on the back leg, and so maybe your hair could be down your back. For me, it's a safety thing. And in fact, I remember once I was refereeing and a girl, her opponent, the épée got caught in the hair. And I had to call halt for a girl almost getting her hair pulled out of her head because the girl's épée tip got caught. And that hair was up and off the target. So for safety things, if it's a long braid and it keeps coming in front of the it's not even a valid, well, I guess it's the valid surface because it's épée, everything's valid. If that tip could get caught in that braid, you need to get the hair off the target. It's kind of that simple. Hair not conforming means not creating a possibility for the valid surface not to be gotten to or be creating a safety issue. The next one we're going to be talking about is another one of those things because this is a summary of chart and they try to lump 3 in 1. And the 3 in 1 that they do is jostling and disorderly fencing. Now, I don't know if I know what disorderly fencing is, but I'm pretty sure I can figure out what jostling is. The only reason I can figure out what jostling is because another excellent referee showed me how he interpreted jostling because a lot of people consider jostling to be subjective. Warning, here come the bunny fencers. Bunny fencers. If this fencer fleshes and the flesh would have landed here except for this wall of a human that was there, chances are this person was jostled. So if that flesh ended specifically because that person was in the way, because if the person had been not there, it would have ended there, then chances are this person was jostled. That means that in general, I was jostled a lot more when I did fence épée, when I fenced épée, then I realized. I was also the bigger girl, so a lot of times people were bouncing off of me. Even if a person bounces off, that doesn't mean that this person shouldn't have gotten a yellow card for jostling. Just because that's the person that ends up on the ground doesn't mean that you can't do the very humorous thing of helping them up with your yellow card as you're helping them up off the ground. Jostling is if somebody has run into somebody and has not bothered to try and not knock them over-ish. Making sense? A little bit? I hope. These 3-in-1 rules drive me crazy, but this one is hugely important for safety. And I will read it to you because it's a really good one to read. So, taking off mask before the referee calls halt. One of the few times that this happens in recent memory is when there's no non-combativity happening and the last few seconds of a period in a direct elimination bout are dwindling. And they've stopped fencing. And I usually wait until there's about 3-4 on the box. Even if it's gone from 10, I make them stand there and wait. And I've had people take off their mask before I've said halt. And I've put that, remember that voice we talked about in that one module, that mama bear parent voice? I did not call halt. What if that person attacked and I hadn't called halt yet? This is where it's important. Could I give a card at that moment? Yes. Do I? Probably not, because yelling at them probably has scared them enough. But they need to realize that the safety of the situation could have been breached. They could have really gotten hurt had that person at that moment decide to launch one of those attacks that happened right before the period ends. So you've got to really know that mask off before halt is really a very serious and a very big safety issue. And giving a card is not inappropriate. Usually when you're calling the halt, it's such a scary halt that you probably, I've forgotten once to give the card, and one time I did give the card because it was just the situation was appropriate for me to give the card. Sometimes you're so relieved that something bad didn't happen that you actually forget to give the card. It is a card. Mask off before the halt. Very serious stuff. The next one is an interesting one, and I don't know the origin of it. I think I used to know it, but I don't remember it. And it's undressing. It's called undressing on the strip. And really, it's, I don't know if it's to prevent delaying. I don't know the origin of it. But I know that the body cord dance, where somebody ties a body cord behind and you pull the body cord through, that means that really you don't need to undress on the strip. And is it cardable? Yes. Have I had people unzip to kind of fix things? Their straps are having problems. Yeah, but that's not technically undressing on the strip. This one is really, I think, kind of broadening to not having an overt delay of the bout to create, especially for body cord issues. That's my best guess. The next one is a difficult one in that I'm not sure I know what abnormal fencing is. The rule says abnormal fencing action, and then it has an asterisk. Remember what that means? That means that it's an element of the touch. And then it says touches with brutality or made during or after a fall. And this is where it gets weird, because we've got over here in red land, so to speak, in group 2, we've got dangerous, violent, vindictive. We've got a lot of anti-sporting behavior. Well, wouldn't brutality be anti-sporting? I don't know. And then, of course, we've got deliberate brutality. So it's really hard to say what abnormal fencing is and what touch with brutality is, and why is that only a yellow card? Because it's in group 1, right? So I'm not going to really touch upon that, because honestly, abnormal fencing action is very subjective, and it's kind of one of those things you'll know. A touch during and after a fall, well, here's what I say to people when they can't figure out if it's during and after a fall, because a lot of people say, oh, I hit and then I fell. Is the fall part of the manifestation of the touch? We're back to thinking about the, was it 2 modules ago when we talked about saber, the crossing? Was the touch made, was the manifestation of the touch during the crossing of the feet or the legs? In this case, who has more control at the moment of the point? Gravity or the fencer? True story. Who has more control at the moment of the touch? If gravity has more control than the fencer, if they could not have stopped during that moment, it's touch while falling. And it's a yellow card. Very simple. If something on the strip is there, like they hit the tape on the side, and they hit, and then their foot hits the tape, and then they slip and they fall, that's not touch while falling. They hit, and then circumstances that were not part of what they were doing made them fall, and it was after the point. So who's more in control, gravity or the fencer? That's the simplest question. I know I haven't been able to boil down a lot of these to simple questions, but that's one that you're going to remember. We are going through the penalty chart, and we've gotten to down here. The next one is unjustified appeal. We're going to be going over that the next module, and then we're going to be going into the second group. You've been very patient with looking at all these modules to learn the penalty chart. It's doing nothing but making you a better referee, and I thank you so much for taking the time to learn and become a better referee. And of course, give me comments. I want to know how you are making yourself better and how you think how I can teach you more. What do you want to learn? I want to know. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It helps out a lot of things. Check me out on thefencingref.com, or that leads to a link to the Fencing Referee on Facebook. Thank you so much. My name's Lisa Sapery, and I thank you for making yourself a better referee.